Hey everybody, Pete A. Turner coming at you here, asking you to check out my technology podcast called Popping the Bubble. There's no E on the end of bubble, B-U-B-B-L. Sandra Ponce de Leon and I, we get in and we demystify what's going on in the Silicon Valley. You want to know where we're headed? Come check us out.
This is Mitchell.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Nate Boyer.
This is Hilliard Guest.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Rob Bell.
This is J.R. Robinson.
This is Dan Stone.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Benite Jeune, and you're listening right now to Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
Is there anything cooler than sitting in my trailer recording shows? We also got Kelly in the house, Kelly Lauer, who helps out, and Kelly brought a message to me that's near and dear to my heart. I've worked, I don't know if you know this, Benny, but I've worked a lot of time in conflict zones, and I've seen what happens when we go to places and try to help, or what is there when we get there when there hasn't been a lot of external help. So I've been to Iraq, Afghanistan, a lot of places that are really hard to live in. And you come from one of the most challenging places on the earth, Haiti, which is rich with culture. I mean, this the mix of things that came to and have come out of Haiti is just incredible. But on the flip side, you know, the earthquake in 2010, is that right? 2010?
Yes, 2010.
Was devastating, but the country was in a hard place before that. It continues to be in a hard place. There was a special last night on 60 Minutes talking about a variety of things. In particular, there was a chef who was going down there, and one of his missions was to try to get the households to stop burning charcoal, you know, because they cook indoors.
Yes.
and you
Cutting a lot of trees.
You cut all the trees down. He's like, let's get propane over there. And all of these things are great, but the reality is on the ground, there's just a lot of help that's needed. And so I thought this would be a cool episode, one, to talk about what you guys do. So your website is risehaiti.org. One of the things that struck me in my research is that most of the people that get educated and that are Haitian go somewhere else. 80+% of the college graduates leave.
It's true.
Yeah, and that's a problem, right? Because, you know, the people that you want to be there that are from there to do the help can't find the opportunity, and they rightfully are like, let me go somewhere else. So it illustrates just how challenging it is when people are willing and inspired to leave their home to, hey, we got Phil in the house. What's that? You want to grab a seat? Over there, we got Phil in the house. It's illustrative of the challenges in Haiti when the most educated people can't justify staying because of the challenges. So I would definitely want to get into that with you. But before we go too much further, would you just give us a little bio so we get to know a little more about Benite and where you've been, what you've done to bring you to this point where you're in my trailer staring at me?
Yes, I was born in Haiti, and in 1993, I left Haiti to go to Canada to study in a Bible school. And after that, I came here in the United States to further my studies at Texas Bible College. And while I was here, I did not want to stay. I just wanted to go back to my country. And the reason why I did not want to stay is because everything that I saw here, or I see here, you know, the question that I was asking, why not Haiti?
Right.
And that's what caused me to go back to Haiti. So I went back, still in the same old situation that I was before. No running water, no phone lines, no electricity. I just wanted to go back and try to make a difference. So right now I'm in Haiti and, pastor a church and started a school with 29 kids. And today we have about 700 children in that school. We feed, about 800 children, 800 people, 700 children plus the 100 personnel. 5 days a week, and we have a couple orphanages that we, taking care of. So we're trying to see how we can help people and trying to send people to the university whenever we have the means to do it. So we try to see what can we do to lay our one block in the construction of that country.
When I was in Iraq, I say that sentence a lot, I'm sorry, but I got to because it applies in this case. When I was in Iraq, I was in the outskirts of the state of Baghdad, right? Not city proper, but the province. And there is this ancient arch. It should be a UNESCO heritage site. It should be protected and studied. Mm-hmm. And there is indeed a Ministry of Antiquities person that is responsible for that antiquity. So from the very top of the federal government all the way down to the county, there's a guy who's responsible for this site. But he had an enormous really a chasm he couldn't get across to get from, I have a responsibility to take care of this site, to promote tourism ultimately, but, this is a historical monument, things, we need people to study it, but how do I get a hold of anybody? Like, he literally, because the phone lines are limited, because the power, because it's such a conflict-ridden place, a simple thing like, and I will tell you, absolutely, we had someone lined up to come out, and she's like, as long as you guys can give me reasonable safety, I will come study this area, right? And the reasonable safety thing was kind of taken care of because the Iraqi army's like, yeah, I'm going to protect you. Like, so she had the army asset lined up. She had the antiquity asset lined up. But still, the chasm was too big, partly because the State Department dicked it up and couldn't be bothered to lean in and help these folks out. So I get the challenge of even just, there has to be 100 schools right now that are dying to take a person from Haiti and pay for their education and give them the opportunity. But just the gap between the amount of work you can do, feeding 800 people, teaching, providing ministry, and closing at some point you just run out of capacity and you can't communicate with the tens of thousands of places that might offer help.
Yeah. I mean, when I came here, America is a very beautiful country. I thank God for the ancestors of America that worked to make it this great.
Yeah.
But I also want to take the time also to send a message to the new generation here so that they can continue to work to continue to make this country a great country.
Yeah.
So, but when I come here, as I said, it's a beautiful country. But I said, if I stay here in America, I may not be useful. So, I mean, I could be useful, but to the level that I'm useful in my country right now, I would say that if I was here, it's possible that I will work and maybe send some money back home to help my little family, help my little self.
Yeah.
But I think, I've seen the bigger picture.
Right.
And that's why, I wanted to go back into the old same situation and try to see how I can make it better and try to improve things.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm right now in my country.
You're one dude, though, and in a country of 10 million people, of which, let's say, 9.5 million of them need a lot of help. How do you multiply what you do? How do you get enough of your level of location, because you're right there, but knowledge and assets? I mean, again, it's very challenging to continually bridge these gaps. How do you multiply yourself?
I would say that it's like someone says that one man may have the vision, but it takes a team to bring it to pass.
Right.
So you could never do it alone. You need a team. The way that I do it is I delegate authority. I try, first of all, to improve myself. And after that, we try to find the people that believe in the vision that we have. And then we team up with all these people so that we can, make it happen. Mm-hmm. So right now in Haiti, we have about 91 people, working on our payroll. And of course, we do have partners in the United States, in Canada, and that believes in what we are doing.
Sure. And
they said, okay, we want to be on board and help you bring that vision to pass.
So the people that contribute to what you guys do they go to risehaiti.org to contribute? Like, if the listeners wanted to chip in $10 or whatever it is that where they go, or how does someone contribute to what you do?
They can go to they can do it via PayPal.
Okay.
They can do that, or they can send a money order down to Haiti.
Sure.
And we can receive it that way.
So I'm looking right now on risehaiti.org, and it is the Christmas season. So if your uncle already has more toasters than he could possibly use and doesn't need his car washed again, maybe you consider giving some money to risehaiti.org. And if you go to the website, risehaiti.org, in the upper right-hand corner is a big button that says donate. And you mash that button like I just did, and it takes you to a place where you can donate money. And if we're going to do anything to help out Haiti, we need to help. We need to let a guy like Benite do the help. Because the other thing I've learned, and Kelly, maybe you can help me out here too, is we're desperate in America, to help people. And we bring so much help, but we bring it a lot. Like, we really bring it, like, here comes your help, and we jam help down people's throats. and we come with agendas. One of the things I've learned is if I'm ever going to help, you have to be in the environment. You have to understand the ground truth to create this. I'm really big on linking strategy and outcomes to tactics, and tactics have to be linked to the ground truth. So like this cook last night that wants to convert people from charcoal to propane, that's a good place. But is that even possible in Port-au-Prince? Is that possible 20 minutes outside of Port-au-Prince? And that's where the real work is how do you convince someone who's always done it this way, who's always just gone out and chopped down a tree, maybe snuck across the border to take down a Dominican tree. They've always done it this way. You don't just come in with the answer. You have to work within the reality. Kelly, what do you think about this?
Well, that's one of the reasons why over the last almost 10 years I've partnered with Benite, is because I saw the need immediately. And anybody that's been to Haiti or done any time of research of Haiti understands the great need and feels compelled to do something, but maybe feels encumbered by just this overwhelming sense of like, where do I even start?
Right.
And maybe it's our American mentality, but we kind of start dreaming of all these ways that we can help the entire country of Haiti.
Yes. But
really the country of Haiti are people. And when we take a mentality of how do I help people and break it down, pun intended, to the most, routine, basic, elementary level of how can I help another person? For me, when I became acquainted with Benite and the work he's doing specifically in his area, to me, it represented the best way that I can make the most amount of impact in one place and for one person. And he's doing it through education. He's doing it through the orphanage that he's building. He's doing it through a feeding program. He's doing it through a lot of different ways. But there's never a guess. When I take money over there, and people, there's listeners to this show who have given me money for some of my previous trips that I've done. When I take money over there, I could point to things and say, this is what it went to. Right. And it's standing, it's here, it's being used to educate people, to feed people, to help people. Yeah. The sad thing is that following the earthquake and all the millions and billions of dollars that was donated out of the kindness of the hearts of American people, you couldn't say the same thing. Yeah. I can't go over there and point to something that the American Red Cross did or another organization did and say, here's where Margaret Jones from Wisconsin's $10 went. Right. It went right there. Yeah. I can't do that. But with what he's doing, there's a tangible thing that we can get behind and say, this is what, and there's children right now who in his area had no access to education, and most kids there don't have access to. It's not like here in the U.S. where we have taxpayer paid, public, funded education. So he went back and started a school that he was 22 years old, by the way, when he went back to Haiti. Started a school. Yeah. In a 10 by 12 foot room with 29 kids and a chalkboard. Yeah. And today that school has over 700 kids. And some of those kids in that very first year that he went back are today in university in Port-au-Prince to studying to be a doctor and doing things like that. And so that's the kind of stuff I want to get behind. That's why I go back year after year. That's why I'm going back again. In 2018, I'll probably go 3 times. And that's why, because we could point to, and I might not be able to fix the entire country of Haiti. No, right. But we can make a difference in a large way in a smaller context.
And maybe we do or don't fix Haiti. And it's not yours or my place to fix Haiti. It's Benite is the guy that, you're driving this forward when there is so much help that's needed. How do you organize your plan? I mean, how do you look and say, there's not enough education, there's not enough food, there's not enough power, there's not enough, there's just not enough. And then on the flip side, so I'm interested in what your plan is and where do you grow, but how carefully do you have to plan for this growth? I would imagine from my experience, if you do too well, if you become a beacon of resources, you can also become a target. Because someone's like, I need stuff. I'm suffering. That guy has too much. I'm going to come take it. and they might take it through violence. So how do you figure out where to start and then what direction to go? And then we'll come back to how do you protect yourself from being a target?
I would say that you need wisdom on how to do things. And, we said that the needs are many. There are many, many, many needs. And the way that I go about it is, it's like they say that sometimes you cannot take care of the people behind you, but the one in front of you, if you can do something for that person in front of you, you try to do it because it's the one that you see.
Yeah.
But there are many people all around you. But I am responsible for those that are in front of me that I can help. And I think that's one of the wisdom that I have, that I try to do things, that I go by, not to burden myself, not to, not to stress things out. And I think that's probably one of the ways that I see it. So right now, I see a need for education. There are many children in the community that would probably not have access, to go to school. And I'm trying to offer the best education as possible that I can offer to them.
Right.
And that's why, what I'm doing right now there, I'm trying to do it with as much excellence as possible, because I don't care where they come from, but I try to offer them the best that I can offer them. So, the people that I'm working with, many of them, they are very less fortunate. They are not intellectually, economically, they are not really fortunate. But somehow, I can be careless in the sense of who they are or where they come from. So I'm trying to give the best that I can give to them.
Are you actually up in front of a blackboard, chalk in hand, teaching these kids, or is that someone from your team that's teaching kids at this point?
I would say that we have a big team doing it. Like I said, we have about 60, 65 teachers, doing the kindergarten, the primary, and the secondary. Even though that I teach a couple courses there, there's a course called Introduction to Citizenship.
Okay.
I love teaching it because I love to instill values in people. And I teach also a course about professional orientation. So I love to help open those children's mind. And also I teach introduction to economy there. So those things, I love to do it because, with my experience traveling, so I really would love to instill certain things and try to see, man, you can do it. There are things that you can do, and try to help them dream bigger and higher.
Where is the school headed? What do you see, say 5 years down the road? Is it just that you get bigger? Or are you going to bring other resources of help in? What do you think?
Yeah, what I see right now is, as Brother Kelly was saying earlier, we have kids that right now in 5th year medical school. We have kids right now in studying economics. But it was so amazing that just a couple months ago, I met with one of my students that went to a school in Port-au-Prince, and he's studying to become an economist. And I was telling him, man, listen, I'm going to be very busy, so it's possible that it's going to be you that's going to be teaching that course, maybe next year.
Yeah, right.
So, and, one thing, too, that we have a contest that was taking place in Haiti, and they were taking 25 students. And one of my students were part of that contest, and he was part of those 25 students. So we're trying to do something. So in 5 years, I'm hoping to see more kids, going to the university to study more, and then come back and be part of the school, and also be part of helping that community moving forward. So we're hoping that in the next couple of years, I'd like to see that school. Right now we are in the process of building a laboratory.
Wow.
A science laboratory, a science lab for the school. We didn't have a library. So we are in the process right now of building, of putting that in place. So we're trying to improve it. And as you know, that Haiti, we have a lack of human resources and lack of materials. But the kind of person that I am, I dream big, and I'd love to see those kids dream big so that they can say, man, Haiti doesn't have to be the way it is. We can be part of being a block in the construction of that country.
I wanted to jump in and just say that when he talks about wanting to provide the best type of education for these kids, I mean, it would be beneficial for you to understand that the kids that he's talking about are coming from homes that are makeshift homes built out of corrugated metal,
Right.
with no running water. They they cook over an open flame
Right.
outside. These are the type of families and the type of situations that many of the kids are coming from, and yet they come to this school that, in many ways, now with the advances that have been just done over the last several years in this facility that we're building, are first world. I mean, the facility is incredible. It's large. And it's got a lot of resources and things attached to it that these kids would have never had access to. So it's opening their mind to thinking beyond what they could have thought was possible before. And to me, that's where the value is that who knows that some of these kids could grow up and be the next president of the country, that could say, you know what, now I can see a future that maybe I didn't think was even possible before, because they're going from a sustenance mentality of just trying to survive,
Right.
to,
Yeah.
oh, no, I actually have a larger view of the world and of my place, and specifically my place in the world, which I think is key. And I want to, you mentioned the security part.
I want to get to that in a second, but I want to expand on what you're talking about now, because the challenges for the people that come to you and to come to other places. We're actually having another show teed up about Haiti, and a couple here from Orange County, that went to Haiti and found the wife. She found her calling. She's like, this is where I need to be. And they're a little couple years behind you guys, but they keep having to buy buildings, and they keep having to go out and raise more money, and people keep giving them money because, like you said, Kelly, they can point and go, there was nothing here, and now there's 20 kids living, eating, learning in this place. So, and we, if you don't know already, listeners, the number of kids on the street with no resources is shocking. So, the work that you guys are doing, the work that the other couple is doing, it's incredible work, and where you get these kids from. Because look, it's one of the things that we do as Americans, we come in, we know the solution, right? Kelly, we talked about this. So the other thing is the psyche, the psychological standpoint, the damage, from someone who comes from a family that has been on this, can we exist today, tomorrow, not eating for a couple of days is good stretch of days because there's a meal coming around the corner. Like, that's what we're talking. And, disease is taking people early. There's violence and all these other things that just continue to waylay these people emotionally, psychologically. And for you to take them, I've talked to Iraqi men, thousands of people, and they don't have the ability to dream because they couldn't, it's not even possible for them. So when we talk about what you're accomplishing, we have to understand that not only is Haiti a very hard place to exist, but there's also a lot of damage. I mean, think about service members and the PTSD, like the guys like I go through, the damage that we experience from being in these conflict zones. It's very hard for us to come back, and you never get rid of that damage. You learn to cope with it. You learn to work through it. So you're taking kids that aren't afforded, like the Orange County kids, like these are kids that don't know what tomorrow brings. They don't know for sure where the next meal is going to come from.
Survivor.
Yeah, they're in survival mode, and they don't control their survival a lot of the time. So I don't want to rush past that, but I do want to get to the safety, stability, security part of things, because it is critical. But I did want to illustrate that for the audience, that this work is a lot more complicated and multifaceted than we can realize. it's going to be a multi-generational approach. We're seeing it with what you guys got. You got the economists and the doctors that are hopefully going to start to come back because they can see that there is work for them to do. We can't blame someone for saying, I'm out of here, I'm going to go do something, and I'll kick my money back. That's viable. But you're now creating a platform for the people that have invested in themselves to continue to exponentiate what you're doing. And that's an incredible thing, and something that I think, like you're saying, Kelly, we can put our money behind because now we have a doctor coming back. Now we have an economist. And we are going to get the security thing, but I wanted to ask this question too, because Haiti is such a beautiful mix of cultures just because of where it is, It's music is a big part of what you do. Is music a part of your guys' mission with the church and the school and everything else?
I mean, when we go to church, we sing, we do music, of course, and we love music, but on an economic, point of view, we don't do anything yet that way. But we do plan to have, unfortunately, right now we don't have music in our school.
Right.
Even though that we have some kids in our school that play music.
Sure.
But we do plan, to have music courses given at the school. So hopefully, maybe tomorrow that can be, that can become, an economic way for people to make some money. Yeah.
I love the show Live from Daryl's House. It's got Daryl Hall, and he has got a kick-ass band, and they bring people in. And they had Wycliffe come in, and I love Wycliffe, everything that guy does. And he talked about how, in Haiti, music is free. Everybody can afford to be musical, and there's music everywhere. It's in the people walking down the street. It's the birds in the trees. It's everywhere. And it's, it's such a rich part of our culture. So I love hearing that you guys obviously celebrate, God with music, but also that it's a goal to try to bring that kind of thing in, because that absolutely is a wonderful pathway and the Haitian style of music is such a rich thing. There's so many places it could go if we have the ability to foster it. First, we got to feed people and get them through school, but I love to hear that you guys are doing that. So when you do make the school successful, when there are hundreds of kids getting educated and everything, you do become a point of resource, and that does bring people that need things, and you do have to turn people away at some point. And people don't always take well to that, or they see you as something that they need to attack because they don't have enough. So how do you deal with that? How do you survive in a place where, again, you don't control your own survival? If someone decides that they want your stuff, they get to take it.
It's not easy. I had a couple incidents where, we had people that think that they were very powerful, like gang members. And I think in one particular time, I had a gang member. I mean, he came to me and he said, I want to talk to you. And he said, I want you to put me on your payroll. Things like that I don't do.
Right.
Because you don't work, I'm not going to give you money.
Right. We're actually working right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I did not want to create a precedent where, okay, I give this guy money, then I have to hook to that for the rest of my life.
Right.
I don't want to do that. But I remember that day I was very bold.
Yeah.
As a believer, I said to him, listen, man, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Because I'm not called for that. And it's not in my spirit to do something like that. It's not ethical for me to do something like that.
Wow.
And I was telling him, listen, man, I'm a man on a mission. I believe that God has sent me here as a native of this country to help this community, to help these people. And if you think that you can do me harm, I'm not going to be the one corresponding with you. Somebody else, God is going to be corresponding with you. So, and it's so amazing that I told him, listen, man, I can help you do something where you can do something to make a little bit more money.
Right.
And I told him that. really, I did help him afterwards. And it was so amazing that that man was, I had a problem afterwards. And I think he was one of the guys that was trying to protect my staff because I was trying to help him. So when it comes to protection, I'm very careful. And around our compound, we have a fence, and we're trying to, to become, make it more secured as much as possible, and hopefully, in the future, when we have more staff, when we have the orphanage finished, and we have more things, so we'll have to hire some armed security guys. So that's what we'll plan to do.
It does continue to be a dangerous place. Yeah.
The difficult thing about my friend here is that by nature, he has a hard time telling people just no.
Yeah.
It's difficult for him. I've seen him myself.
It would be hard for me to tell someone no in this case. Yeah, it's hard.
I've seen him pull out the last dollars that he has on him and give it to people along the road. I've seen him do countless things like that. But, his facility that he's talking about, he has a water well there that the community comes and gets clean water from that they wouldn't otherwise have access to clean water. He has a well that he gives people, anybody that just comes on the property and brings a bucket, he lets them come on and do that, which poses some security issues, obviously, when you just kind of have the gate open but that's just his nature. They need water. I have water. So if they need water and I have water, then they can come get water. So that poses an issue with the security side. Why don't you say about, last year? I'll let you tell that story.
I was at the bank. I went to the bank because I was planning to do a leaders conference, like pastors conference.
Okay.
Where we have leaders coming from all over Haiti. Sometimes we'll have about 400, 500, 600 leaders coming together, and we'll train them for about 2 days. And I went to the bank to to withdraw some money so that we can do that conference. And coming out of the bank, and there were two guys on a motorcycle. They were armed, and they pulled their revolver, their arms, and one of them shoot me.
Whoa!
By the grace of God, I'm alive today, and so I'm living with the bullet inside now. It's about 1/4 inch from my aorta.
Oh, wow!
One of the surgeons said that if the bullet had gone, 1/4 inch further, then I'll be paralyzed. So it happened there, but many people were telling me, man, you got to leave that country. But still, I'm carrying that bullet for Haiti. But still, I said, I'm not going to go anywhere. I feel that my calling is, there. I'm more fruitful, being in my country, and I'm just going to be there and do whatever I can. So if God spared me from the earthquake, I was supposed to be dead also in the earthquake.
Okay.
I'm a miracle.
Yeah.
And here again, after I was being shot, I was supposed to be dead. But somehow God keeps me alive, so I'm not going anywhere because I feel that what I'm doing, it brings joy into my heart by, seeing so many kids being fed, kids going to the university, as we're trying to help them. Kids at the orphanage. There is nothing else in this world that really brings joy to my heart. To see. How we're trying to rise other people up.
In that attack he was talking about, they shot through the glass of his truck. The bullet went through his shoulder, through the rib cage, and down it before it settled, as he said, about a quarter of an inch.
By your heart?
And a quarter of an inch, a miracle that it happened the way it did. And they took him to 2 hospitals. A bystander came by. So before that, the guys who shot him stole all of the money. He had just come out of the bank. They stole all the money he had saved up to host this conference for these leaders. They stole all the money, stole his laptop. They stole his phone. They stole his wedding ring. They took his wedding ring off his finger.
Hey, watch.
They took his watch. They took everything and left him there bleeding and dying. And bystander picked him up, took him to a hospital. The hospital said, "We can't help you."
Wow.
Took him to a second hospital. The second hospital said, "We can't help you." So it gives you an idea again of what you're dealing with infrastructure wise. You can probably relate and understand that.
Absolutely.
There's just certain places that they just can't help you.
Yeah, there's a lot of between the lines stuff that we can add in because the listener, and this is why we talk about these things. What the listener doesn't get is it's not that the hospital won't help; it's they literally can't.
Limited.
Yeah, they're limited on the resources. Maybe they already have the one other gunshot wound they can handle. Maybe they don't have that facility. There's literally countries where they have one X-ray machine in the entire country. So Haiti is in that list where you can't just go to any hospital and worry about the PPO stuff and out of network later. Like that isn't how it works here. So, and there's also not an ambulance service. I would imagine that's worth a damn, and all these things that contribute to. And let's also not forget that yes, it's horrible to be shot, but that person that shoots you isn't shooting you because they want a life of crime. They're shooting you because it's them or you where you guys live. That doesn't forgive their action, but we have to put it in the context. This is not Orange County. This is not Detroit.
Right.
This is way harder. And so this again goes back to the thing where when you're going to throw a conference and you need a bag of cash because, people don't take square, they don't just do that out there. You have to account for your own well-being, no matter what. And then I'm going to add in this other layer too, because, the American white guy, like, well, let's just get you more security. No, it doesn't work like that. And you also can go to the elders, the tribal leaders, the patriarchs around and say, we have to protect this guy. That costs money. Mm-hmm. All of that. And then people would say that's corruption. Okay, sure it is. But it's also how things get done. You have a guy with influence. His influence costs money. Yes, you're helping kids, but I have to pay for these guys to be here. I have to ensure that people don't come. And all of these things take resources. Yeah. So it's not just they shouldn't ought to do that. This is way more complicated of a social situation. And something that I think never gets talked about, frankly. Yeah. Just how hard these things are. So you're trying to throw this conference. Not only do you get robbed of everything that has any, you're lucky you had your pants still, but the hospital, the care, how long were you down for them? I mean, it sounds like a significant wound.
I think I was at the hospital for about almost 3 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
Almost 3 weeks.
He ended up at a Doctors Without Borders hospital. That's the only one that was able to help him.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then once you got there, were you pretty well, like, okay, or was it still touch and go for a while?
It was definitely touch and go, but they realized right away that the bullet was lodged in a place that had they tried to gun and to take it out, that was actually more potentially life-threatening to try to take it out. And so they kind of told him, I think we just got to sew you up and leave it in there. And he already had a trip planned to come see me just days after that. Yeah. And so he literally wrapped in ace bandages, got on an airplane and came and
you are a hard motherfucker. God damn.
And came to see me. And one of the great things is that I was able to get him to a hospital in Bakersfield, and the chief medical officer of the entire hospital personally treated him and put him through all of the state-of-the-art imaging, and stuff, and was able to give him, a really good idea of what needed to happen from that point, and confirmation about, we got to leave that in there, and that's the best, that's the best choice. And so it was definitely an eye-opening ordeal, I'm sure. But we say that it was the second time. Yeah. It was the second time because the first time was the earthquake in Haiti in 2010. Where Benite's located in his compound and where his work is located is about an hour outside of Port-au-Prince.
Right.
And so if you remember from the earthquake, the epicenter of the earthquake was centered pretty close to around Port-au-Prince.
Right.
And so, he actually was in Port-au-Prince at the time when the earthquake happened, and has a pretty incredible story about what that what that situation was like and how he kind of survived that and stuff. And I'd rather him tell it than me, actually.
Well, tell me.
Yeah, I was at the university taking some courses, and then I've heard the big earthquake. So I thought, man, I was not aware of how earthquake works, because
you hadn't been given the rule book.
I mean, we've heard about earthquakes, but I've never been in one.
Yeah.
So I still remember one time I was in Pennsylvania. I was here in California, and I think there was a very mild earthquake, and where I was, it shook a little bit. But it seems to me that the people there, they did not move. Because it seemed that they used to that, those small earthquake. So, but I was there, and I've heard the big earthquake, boom, and then I sat down. I was sitting down, and I just ran to the exit door.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to the exit door, I touched the doorknob, and it's like, there's a small voice inside of me saying, don't go outside, don't open the door. And in the meantime, the building was coming down. And when I stayed inside, I thought, man, back then I remember that there was a school that collapsed, and there were 200 children in that school, and I think most of them died in that building collapse. So and I thought maybe that was the thing that was going to happen. So somehow that building came down, and then something, inside of me say, okay, lay flat on the ground, and somehow I begin to, I lay flat on the ground, and then somehow I scrolled down, to a small hole that I was able to, burst with my fist, and I was able to make a small hole of about 13 inches.
Yeah.
That's where I scrolled out of that hole.
Wow.
Between the beams of the building and the floor where I sat down.
How tall was this building?
I would say that it was a building of about, I was on the second story.
Okay.
And it was about 10 feet.
So a two-story building. You were on the second
and I was on the
story.
second floor.
You surf down the building as it collapses. You lay flat on the ground, and then you crawl and you Mike Tyson your way out of there.
Yeah, about
punch a hole in the wall.
13 inches wide, and that was between the beams of the ceiling. And the floor.
Right.
Where I sat down. So
you don't like to leave a lot of room for error. You got a quarter inch between your heart and your bullet. You got 13 inches, and you're about 14 inches wide. So,
unfortunately, in this situation too, many of the others in the room did not survive.
Of course,
I had students that was sitting right behind me died.
Yeah,
and I had the professor that was sitting about 5 feet away from me died.
Sure.
And they didn't have time to do anything.
Right.
So, and I had students that were sitting right at the door, the door of the building.
Right. Well, this is the other thing is it's already impossible. But when the earthquake happened, it's like, everybody was worried about Haiti. Haiti was a hard place to live before the earthquake, and it's not going to be easier now. And like you said, Kelly, tons and billions of dollars came in, but I'm going to guess that a lot of the buildings that were, built up weren't built to earthquake code. So the next time something shakes, the next time a hurricane hits, it's going to be a hard place to live again. And, hopefully we can slowly get past these things. Because you're right, the tragedy of the earthquake is that, 10% of the population died? Something like that?
Yeah, over 20,000 people died.
Yeah, it was almost a quarter of a million.
A quarter of a million people in a country of
about
10 million.
Millions,
yeah, so it's a significant number of people that died. You have to feel like a man of destiny at that point. I think you're giving your man of destiny license when you punch through that 13-inch hole. And you survive. And then, if you go back to the Greeks, guys like Plato and Aristotle, they'll say the same thing that you're saying. I can't be harmed by any of you. You can kill me, but that's not going to change what I'm doing. You already have your destiny. You already have your vision. and since you're a man of God, if God decides you've done enough, then that's up to
that's
him.
okay. I mean, I have a saying, I say this, until I die, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So unless I die, so I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So
my friend is one of the more humble people that I know, so he probably will leave out some things that I feel like are really, really important.
Please color. Let's hear it.
As I said before, his location of the school and his, and the orphanage is about an hour away from Port-au-Prince, where the biggest part of all this devastation was. When he went back to Haiti when he was 22, he began building this school, and he began building a school building at the same time, because every year they started with 29 kids. The next year there was 49. The next year there was 70, and it just, it grew from there. So at the same time, he began to build a building to accommodate all these kids for the school. And at the time of the earthquake, this building was 4 stories tall, and it encompassed over 400 kids at the time in this school building. An hour away from the epicenter of the earthquake, this building collapsed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the only building of its kind in that area that collapsed, because there were no other buildings that were of that size.
Sure.
And it completely just was demolished down to the first floor. Most people in that scenario would have just said, you know what? I've done everything I can.
Yeah.
I poured my life. I poured my resources. I poured everything.
And justifiable to say that.
Before the dust could even settle from the rubble of that building collapses,
to Miami.
he was organizing how to get that rubble over to begin building again.
Right.
And today there's not one school building, but there's 3 school buildings today, and one of the school buildings, Pete, is a building dedicated just to kindergarten only section, and it's built from the rubble of the original school building, because you don't waste anything.
Sure, you can't.
So they carried every one of those broken blocks over to another location that was about a quarter of a mile away,
right,
and began building a new school.
Well, you know what I always say: reduce, reuse, Reese-Witherspoon. Yeah, of course you have to, because you can't go to Home Depot and get 17 pallets of cinder blocks. That's just not how it works. So you rebuild with what you've got, and you continue to go forward, because what else are you going to do? Like I like to say, when you've been in an area of conflict, and I think you'll identify with this, Benny, but I'm gonna work on this, and either it'll get done or it won't. It doesn't really matter, and it'll matter until it no longer matters. Mm-hmm. So, like, if I die doing this, then it no longer matters, But what does matter is my character, and I'm going to continue to do it. Am I going to screw crap up? Of course, constantly. And in an area like you guys are in, one of the things, I'm great at stability operations and how do you create stability versus instability. And the first rule is you're going to make mistakes, and the second rule is when you don't make mistakes, you're breaking the first rule. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Constant learning. It's not trial and error. It's just error, and yet somehow there's kids getting educated. There's kids getting fed, like, oh, crap, we can't buy chickens or whatever the lesson is. Like, oh, we never would have thought of that, because you are so granular in your reality. You can't go to Home Depot and buy cinder blocks. It just doesn't work there. You have to go and go, yep, this cinder block has a bunch of blood on it, and it probably crushed this guy's head, and it's going to be part of the foundation of this new building.
Yeah,
it's a different reality, and we have to all understand that. What do you need day to day that you don't have? That you're like, I should be able to have this. Is it a access to administrators and colleges to get some of these kids to another place? What are like the 5 things that you're like, if I could just solve these things, we could do so much more? And you can't just say money, because it's not just money; it's other things.
Yeah. Right now, one of the biggest needs that we have is human resources.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do in Vigny, our career where we are, is we're trying to, have a couple rooms where we can get, better teachers that will come in the area, and, help us with the work that we are doing so that we can better the education.
Sure.
So if you've read a little bit about Haiti, about its education, the education there is very, it's like the rich people, they have their own education.
Sure.
The middle people, they have their own education. The poor people, they have their education, and so on.
Yeah.
So you may go to a place where, there might be a school and they only have, the kids will sit on blocks or
Right.
they'll sit on rocks. They don't have books. They don't have copybooks.
Right.
So, and that's the reality. So, and sometimes, you may have the school and you don't have good teachers.
Right.
And it's like a transfer of mediocrity in
Yeah.
a sense. So right now what we're trying to do, we thank God for the people that we have, but we also would like to have better teachers. And one of the things that we have too is that, some of the kids, sometimes their parents cannot afford to buy books.
Right.
And sometimes that could be a big problem, when it comes to, they come to school, but they don't have books. They could buy maybe 2 books or 3 books, but the rest they cannot afford to buy.
Right.
And sometimes that could be a situation. And that's why sometimes, we try to find ways, on how to help those children, have books so that they can, better learn.
Yeah.
And I would say that that's probably one of the 2 big needs that we have. And of course, every month you have to pay those teachers.
Sure. Yeah.
And you have to trust God, every month, for that money to come so that we can pay the teachers there. And we also have needs of computers because we do have a computer class.
Okay.
And and I'm not ashamed to say that, but the laptop that we are using right now, I think they were given, about maybe 5 years ago.
Right.
And 5 or 6 years ago. But the thing is, when they were given 5 or 6 years ago, they were
yeah.
secondhand.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's a big thing, and these, like, we're looking at my laptop right now, and this thing's essentially disposable to me.
Mm-hmm.
For you've got to spend money that largely would buy a whole new laptop. To maintain a 10-year-old laptop. I mean, come on, it's time to get a new one.
Yeah, yeah.
But for you guys, it's like, no, we have to actually fix this. So let me break out this soldering iron. One of the things I learned in Iraq was, like, we had this perception that they were terrible mechanics, and all you had to do is look around town and go, no, these guys actually can fix anything because they've had to. They haven't had enough. So you can fix a laptop, but good grief, it's time to maybe that we all dig in and take one of these disposable laptops and buy a new one for you guys,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then maybe I do with my old one a couple of years longer, because that's a microscopic sacrifice compared to what these guys are going through. So, yeah.
I mean, like I said, man, it's trying to see how we can, we can help them think bigger and to let them know that, it's not what you see every day, in the little village where you are. We can dream bigger. And some of the needs that, we'll have over there too is, we don't have electricity 24 hours a day down there. So sometimes in the village, we'll have electricity from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And sometimes we can have it for 3 days, 3 nights. We can have it for a week. Sometimes we can have it for 2 weeks. But I don't remember that we have that electricity for a month, even from 7 to 11 o'clock.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to depend on personally at the school. We have to depend on solar panels.
Right.
And we have solar panels and batteries.
Okay.
But somehow every 2 years or 2 years and a half, depends on how much we use those batteries, then we have to change them again.
Yeah.
We can use about between 12 and 16 batteries, and each one of those batteries will cost, about $400 a piece.
Right.
So it's that's the situation. I would say that wanting to go higher, wanting to show new things so that those kids can innovate and do other things, it costs also.
Right.
It takes resources in
Yeah.
order for that to happen.
Yeah.
And And one last thing that I really would like to put the emphasis on is, in Haiti, we find many young kids, they don't have the means to continue to go to high school after they finish. They cannot go to the university after they finish high school. So sometimes, if they don't have the means to go to the university, they stay, they don't do anything. Or they might try to leave the country, go to Peru or Brazil and try to go somewhere. And or if they don't, sometimes if they don't have the means to go to the university, then they could try to learn a trade if their parents, will be able to afford that. So what we're trying to do, and I've been thinking about that, is, while they are in school, maybe there are a couple things that I really would like for them to learn, like, for instance, welding. While they are in high school, so if we could try to do something where they will learn how to weld, I think that will be a good thing that we'd love to teach them. And also, making furniture, that's something that I really would like to introduce to the schools, so that, even if they don't finish high school, even if they finish high school and if they cannot continue on to the university, but at least they will have something in their hands that they say, man, I can hold onto that.
If you can join and move metal, you can always make money. You can always have value in what you do in your life. So welding, any of those kinds of trades, carpentry, learning how to do that, being able to to build something, you will always have the ability to work. Even if you go to Puerto Rico for a couple of months and help them rebuild, you will always be able to do that. It's a good lesson, a good thing to remember. Not everybody has to go get a BA, because the other thing I've learned in Iraq is that you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be an economist of some kind. But if in your country there's not a need for those things, because right now we're just trying to figure out how to eat, you're going to be the most educated guy with no resources. So it's not. We often want to put our own American values on these things. We're like, actually, just the other day, they've made it official. They're publishing a paper I wrote about female empowerment, where we have this driving passion to empower females. We can't even decide, like, what word to even use. I'm using the word empowerment because that's the word we chose for the article, because there's no good word to describe it. And so we'll come with our agenda to Haiti and be like, we have to empower females. Like, you don't even know what's going on here. Chill out for a second. We're trying to solve a lot of problems. Not everybody needs a BA or a BS degree. Some people just need to be able to do what maybe they need to be a small engine mechanic. I guarantee you there's a guy that's like, I could hire 10 people right now to fix small appliances, because everything here gets reused. We can't just go to, the Home Depot and buy a new blender or whatever. There's no Best Buy selling these things. We have to fix the blender or not have a blender. What the fuck's a blender? All these things. So the questions are not our questions. It's what you guys think you need. And if the help is in solar energy, and if it's in understanding that we don't have power, and you say 7 to 11, I don't know if you mean from 7 in the morning to 11 in the morning,
or
from 7 to 11 at night.
That would be 7 from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Right. So we're not talking.
It's about 4 hours of power.
It's just at night when the sun goes down. But a lot of folks don't get that. That's why I had to make sure we asked that question. It's like, wait, we're talking 4 hours of power here, and that's what you get on some days, and it's not even reliable.
I mean, if it was every day, then it would be a big.
People want to gouge their eyeballs out if there's a brownout here, because we're all using our to not know, to not have it most of the day. Is just think about that. Look around your house, look at your phone, all the things that you need power to run, and it's just not ever reliably there. It's such an impediment to what you're trying to do. So you are orchestrating this thing. You do have to grow it, but make it manageable. You can't say, oh, now we have, whatever the thing is that you just don't need. It's how do we stay lean? How do we grow in a smart way? Kelly, what are your thoughts on all these things, that the 5 things that Benite brought up? How do we deal with this? How do we help these guys?
he mentioned the human element of it, and the human element of it is I think the key factor, because there's key pieces and key people that could come bring a level of expertise. Benite is an extremely accomplished person, but it's out of experience. Right. He just said, I just need to be a part of helping to provide education, and that needed buildings. And so now I would say, is pretty skilled and knowledgeable about building buildings, but he never went to school for that.
Right.
But there's a lot of other areas in terms of there's people that are teachers that would say, you know what, I'm gonna retire this year, but I can give a year to go and to help raise the level of education in a school in Haiti.
Right.
There's those kind of human elements like that I think are out there that could really potentially help, and that's what I'm hoping for to see. But I was thinking, as you guys were talking, in the school building that is going to be inaugurated in just a couple of weeks. And when I say a school, it's an kind of an auxiliary building that houses the science lab and the library and things like this. And I'd love to show you a picture when we're done. I know it's not great podcasting to show it to you now.
Look at that picture. Man, that's a nice roof.
Yeah.
The joists. The joists. Sorry.
I'll show you that picture later. But anyway, in this building, an incredible science lab. But right now it's empty. Yeah. There's some kids that have never been able to look through, the different lenses and stuff like that of science.
Microscope.
They've never been able to look through and see a microscope before and see what a leaf looks like, or see what, so something even as simple as, like, I'm going over in February. I'm going to try to find somebody to give me a microscope.
Right.
Just to stick in my suitcase.
Yeah. So
that we can, in the science lab, teach kids about the scientific elements of things through looking through a microscope. So just the stuff that we sort of take for granted, I think, that fills our educational system in terms of resources and things like that. I think that's something that really could be a benefit to this school in particular. But I'm thinking really micro, because I get behind my friend here, and I want to help push the ball farther down the field. On a macro scale, in terms of Haiti itself and all that kind of things, I mean, man, you and I could probably talk for hours about the trash situation in Haiti and how it encompasses or how it encumbers the tourism, the lack of security, the issue, how tourism is affected by that, how the government structure and the perceived corruption there, how the result of that means that governments in the wake of the earthquake aren't actually giving the money that they pledged, right? Because they perceive there to be an element of corruption, so they're not going to give the money that's actually going to help people. So on a macro level, there's a whole nother conversation. And sometimes people get so overwhelmed by the challenges in that macro level that they fail to remember there's a kid that needs to go to school. Yeah. There's a kid that needs to eat. Right. There's a family that needs hope. Yeah. And so we can't wait for the Clinton Foundation to figure something out. Right. We just can't wait for that. Because I don't personally think that's ever going to happen. If it was going to happen, it would have happened already. And fill in the blank
foundation. There's a lot of them where it's not coming.
Haiti is NGO heaven in terms of there's more NGOs in Haiti than anywhere in the world. Right. Per capita and per square footage, there's more NGOs in Haiti than anywhere in the world. And yet it remains one of the most devastatingly poor areas in the world, which should tell you something.
It's just like, look, Sly Stone does a lot of drugs. Apparently drugs are not going to kill that man. He is in his 70s still doing all the hard drugs, right? It's not going to kill him. And NGOs being present is not going to break the grinding, just that horribleness that happens to humanity. It's just not going to happen in Haiti because of the presence of NGOs. It's got to be other things. The macro things that are just impossible to solve, move slowly. And for literally things that we disregard, a microscope. How many of our kids have a toy microscope that could be useful, But how do you grab all those things and put them in a box and know where it becomes impossible to help all these things out. So I can appreciate that. Man, I keep thinking about those macro problems. Like you said, like the well, right? Like we always want to bring fresh water. Okay, well, you have to get rid of wastewater when you bring fresh water in. We never think about that next step. Like now there's water that's not healthy, for a variety of reasons, just sitting there because the trash is there, And how do you get the tourists to come when there's all these problems? It's never ending. But stuff.
But the answer might be
yes.
And you said it earlier. This is a multi-generational conversation,
right.
Meaning that the answer isn't going to be something that is going to just unlock something and then tomorrow the country is going to be different. Right. This is a multi-generational thing. And maybe, just maybe, the answer right now is sitting in the heart and the mind of an 8-year-old that is now having their mind enlightened and educated because somebody didn't wait for somebody else to do something. Yeah. They just said, I'm gonna start a school and I'm gonna bring this kid from this rural area that is often overlooked and I'm gonna educate him, and maybe, just maybe, that kid is gonna be the one that helps to bring about the multi-generational change that's gonna happen.
Yeah. I can give an example because me, the kind of person I am, I choose all situation to teach people.
Okay.
I use, I use the church, when I'm on the pulpit, I use the church, because I'm not just saying people you're going to heaven, but right now we have to take care of the earth. We have to do that. Like for instance, you find young people, they will not hurt them to go by the side of the road and pee.
Yeah.
Whatever they have in their hands, they just throw it on the street. Because many of them, that's the way they, okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt me to throw that, after drinking that bottle. But at the school, this is what we're teaching them.
Right.
We don't do that. We don't do those kind of things. We get to protect our environment.
Right.
So I still remember, there's a lady, who is in our church, and she's about, 60 or 65. And she gets into a tap. And she was eating some cookie or something, and after eating it, she took it and put it in her pocket.
Right.
And when people ask her, why do you do that? You should throw it in the tap or in the van.
Yeah.
But she said that, her pastor taught us not to throw garbage on the floor.
Yeah.
So I think by hearing something like that, it's like something is happening. There's a message that's getting across.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think, many kids are learning it. And I just pray that what we're doing at the school, in far as teaching them those kind of values, with women, and we will just continue to multiply ourselves and be different and help bring the change into Haiti.
Well, I love it. I think what you guys are doing, I know what you guys are doing is making an important difference in people's lives. And if nothing else is accomplished, just by investing in those people, you're going to have a fantastic return because I've seen it. Kids want to become something. They want to learn, especially when you tell them they can't, so they'll sit down and they will figure a way to do it. You've become a contract engineer. You can build buildings because it had to be done. So I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. Once again, it's called risehaiti.org. That's where you guys can go and donate and read more about it. You have your Facebook page with your name. I'm going to put a link on there because I'm not even going to try to explain how to spell your name because that's just go to the link and we'll get there. I've already sent you a friend request. We want to be part of what you guys do. I want to continue to tell your story because all of us here in America, as much as we think it sucks here and so bad here, like go spend 5 minutes in Haiti. And seriously, when you go, shut up and learn and just pay attention because what you see, you can't even comprehend. So we can all do a little more for places like that. Go to Google Earth and zoom out and look at a picture of Hispaniola, and you'll see the difference between the Dominican Republic side, which is not like a rich place. It's, there's a lot of poor people there. And then you look at the Haiti side and it's just brown because there are no trees. It's horrible and we can do better than that. So I'm going to stop preaching now. But I'm going to thank you very much for your time. You're always welcome here. Kelly, same thing. You can always come in. Phil, I'm glad you stayed quiet because we don't want to hear from you, No, we look good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Reach out to me. I'm glad to put you in contact with Kelly and Benite. What they're doing is important. I appreciate you. You guys are really, really special people. Whether or not anybody believes in God and everything else, I'll tell you right now, Benite is a man that is driven by God and is empowered by Him and is cared for by Him. And I think that's a beautiful thing to encounter in your life. So you've enriched me today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Pete, and thank you for all the ones that were listening to this broadcast.